critical thinking, and the ability to recognize lines of reason. I think the notion of critical thinking, particularly in many of our schools and many of our colleges, we simply hammer out of our students. We don't want them to be critical thinkers. We don't want them to be like Dr. Avindan, going up to the maths teacher and saying, what is the use of this thing that you keep us doing all the time? Because then we tell them, you don't understand right now. Wait, at some point you will. And it doesn't happen. Right? We need our students to be able to question, because through questioning comes understanding. And for those of you who are versed in Greek philosophy will know the Socratic method, right? Where it's question and answer. Right? That is how learning is developed. And that, let me tell you this, it's not just in the Greek tradition, in fact, but in early in the Gurukul system in India, and in our old universities like Nalanda and Takshashila, which were the first universities of the world, it was the dialogue between the Guru and the Shishya that created knowledge. It was not the Guru standing here like I am right and lecturing you. This is not the process of developing knowledge and understanding. It is that engagement, the questioning between the Guru and Shishya that could create that. And that process of dialogue also must permeate within the school environment, within the student's own engagement. So there's an engagement between student and teacher, a dialogue there, but a dialogue also within the students, among the students within that. So one of the key attributes that we now know of amongst the most successful people in the work environment worldwide are people who know how to collaborate and work in teams. Collaborate and work in teams. Now, what's our problem with that? Our problem is, marks kisko denge? Kisne kaam kiya hai? Right? We want to individually differentiate. The idea of being groups projects is very difficult for us to understand within the context. But in fact, that is the kind of behavior that is absolutely essential. The individual sublimating their own individual ego to the needs of a broader team, a group, your company, your organization, your NGO, your government, wherever it is that you go to work. Right? That is the critical element, the ability to work and collaborate in teams within that. Innovative thinking and new ideas, I don't think I need to spend too much time on that. The issue of innovation right now is the critical driving engine of the world's economy. Handful of statistics. Companies in the world, companies that were created in the last 10 years have a market capitalization that is greater than all the companies ever created before that. Innovation is what is driving. These are new ideas that are coming to the fore. And we've got to teach our students how to generate new ideas. And finally, two other aspects. One, the ability to learn by application of hands-on and experiential techniques. I'm going to give you a small example about this. Hands-on learning, you all hear about this. I saw it in action and I was quite stunned by this. I went to MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, last year, and the professor there took me to their first year class, engineering class. This is the first, these are students right out of high school. They're straight into MIT. And what is the first class that they do? Now, I can tell you, do you know what the first class the students will do in India when they go to an IIT or an engineering school? First day, what classes will they take? Do any of you know? I'll tell you what they are. They're introduction to physics, introduction to chemistry, mathematics, right? That's so all theoretical classes, right? Why? Because we believe we have to teach them the theory before they will ever know how to do anything within that. So we teach them physics and chemistry and maths and etc., etc. At MIT, I entered the classroom The classroom is a big hall, about this size. There are 60 students in that class. There are 12 tables. There are 5 students in each group. They have a little blackboard, something to write on right next to them, and some pens and papers. They all sit around there. The instructor sits in a table, in a chair, on the other side of the class. He doesn't say anything during the class usually. The sides of the class are full of boxes, and the boxes have thrown away objects in them. Thrown away old wires, old nuts and bolts, old plastic, old cardboard, old paper, all collected through garbage dumps throughout the MIT campus. And that's all that there is in these boxes. Those students are required to produce in those groups. Each group is required to, it was November, so they were about 3 months into this class when I went there. You're astounded by what you see. There are robots there. There are engines there. There are electricity producing apparatus. All of this without knowing any of this theory. Because why? It's hands-on learning. They've taken these objects and they've applied their minds to how they can bring them to life. And so they're 5 years, MIT changed their curriculum 5 years ago. They're 5 years into this experiment now. And what are they seeing? Firstly, these students who do this course do better in the physics, chemistry and math that they take later on. Why do they do better? Because they understand what they're learning it. They've already learned this concept. They've already solved basically differential equations when they're putting up a gearbox together, right? They've done it in their minds. They may not know how to do it there, but they've already done this. And so, secondly, the retention level, so in American universities, 50% of all students who enter engineering drop out because, in fact, it's so difficult and demanding. Retention levels have increased. And third, which I think was the most interesting thing that I heard, retention levels of women students has increased considerably. So MIT used to struggle with this idea that over 60 to 75% of the women who would enter the engineering programs would drop out within that. But the women students are staying because, again, they understand the context and why they're doing it, rather than simply being tested on maths and physics and chemistry within that. So hands-on learning within that, and I think is a critical thing. And finally, and Dr. Ravindran alluded to this earlier, we must develop in our students a social conscience and the ability to apply their skills and knowledge beyond the classroom to contribute to society in an enlightened manner, and demonstrating in that process ethical judgment and integrity. Here's a really interesting fact. So you would say, yes, that's all very good. We need to produce good citizens and teach them ethics and teach them social responsibility, and but what does that have to do with their learning? What does that have to do with academic excellence? Well, there is now widespread research that shows that students who consider themselves committed to ethical principles actually do better in school and in college than those who don't. So there is a correlation. I'm not going to make a causal argument, otherwise your social scientists here will jump on me, but I'll make a correlation argument. There is a strong relationship between personal integrity, ethical judgment, a normative view of life, and how you perform in school, in the academics. And I'll let you figure out why that's, what leads to that. I conclude by saying that SNU, Shiv Nadar University, those of you who don't know, we're a new university, started in 2011. We wrestled with these problems already. We have the same goal as you do, academic excellence. It's the same objective that we have. And we work to try and develop some of these ideas and some of these concepts in our school. And we struggle. We struggle because the students that we get are not trained in this way of thinking within that. And I really wish that you would do that. So I'll tell you what we're doing a little bit about it and some of the struggles.